This video is made up of two parts. In the first part we're going to add transaction loop boundaries to a script, and I'd recommend that you watch AgileLoad script parameterization 3 choosing a random link beforehand to understand what that script does. The second part we're going to execute a small load test with that script that we just created. So now I'm going to create a browse script, and what I want this script to do is to go to the home page, and once it's at the home page, I want it to choose flowers and then choose a random set of products. So the first thing I'm going to do is hit the record button, which launches my browser. I go to my site, I'm at the home page, I'm going to flowers, and as usual I'm choosing the African orchid. Now that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to hit stop. And what I want the user to do, let's just close this browser, is go to the home page, go to flowers, go to a random product page, not just the African orchid, and then go back and then go to another flower page. So I'm going to do that by introducing TransactionBegin and TransactionEnd, and they are ways to control the script, which I'll explain in a moment. So let's go here to the first page, and we're going to set TransactionBegin here. In fact, let's set that above the wait statement so we have a bit of a pause. TransactionBegin for the page request for the products, and then TransactionEnd after we have chosen a product that we want to look at. If I can spell that right. Okay, so you can see the bars appeared here, and that's showing me the section of script that's going to run as part of this transaction set. Now of course every time I run this, it's going to just be choosing the same product ID, which as we saw before was F001, so I want to parameterize this. So double click, right click, then choose find in HTTP responses, click OK on here, double click the first one, there it is. We're going to extract the value. I'll give it a variable name, which is item ID. Let's tidy this up a little bit. I know looking at the source there that it's a lowercase it in front of an item. We're going to check random as we did before, choose the random option, and there we go, we're getting back different values just like we did in the by script. So I'm going to apply that, and it's choosing a random item ID there. It's inserted the code, which is great, and now I just need to use that parameter here. So instead of going into the client, moving the context menu to the client tab, I'm just going to do it the easy way here. Oop. So I've removed F001, and I'm just concatenating on here item ID. So let's just compile that, make sure we got no syntax errors. We haven't. And what we're going to do in options is we're going to set the iterations to 5, because what's going to happen when I play this back is the user's going to come in, it's going to execute the first request, which is the home page, and it's going to go down through TransactionBegin, execute the first transaction, which comprises of a request for the page of flowers, and then a request for a random product ID from that page of flowers. It hits TransactionEnd, and then we'll bounce back up to TransactionBegin, i.e. simulating the user clicking the back button, and again pull out a random value from the product page. So if we play that back, we should see 5 random flower pages pop up, and we should only see the home page appear once. So off we go, home page, flowers, geranium, flowers, goodnight moon iris, flowers, pansy, flowers, black-eyed Susan, flowers, pansy, and that should be it. We're done. So this is great. This script is going through 5 random flower pages. In this case, it's only doing 5 because I have 5 set here. If I just set this back to 1 and we play this back, it will just do 1 transaction, just as if TransactionBegin and TransactionEnd weren't there, because it's got no need to bounce through the loop. So when I add this to my job, I can tell the job to execute a number of iterations of this script and thereby mimic a browsing user, say for example browsing through 5 products, and then we might want to add on to the end a buy product user which just buys the final product that it looked at. So that's it, we're ready to use this script as part of our job. Next we create the job to use the script we just created. I'm now going to create a small test against my plants website, and I'm going to use the browse script that we just created. If you remember, it's going to go to the home page, go to the plants page and choose a random product. So to do that I need to first of all create a job. So I go down to jobs, right click and choose new job. I'm going to call this one plants test. Double click to open it, and it's asking me which script I want to insert. I could choose browse at this point. I'm going to show you something else though. If for example your script doesn't appear, you have the option here to click the refresh button. Sometimes you might have a situation where test center has been already open and you've created a script and it doesn't appear there. Clicking the refresh button will show that. So all we need to do is drag and drop the script that we want into our job, and I'm going to give it a more meaningful name than plants test _1. I'm going to call it customer, because that's what the scenario is. It's a customer scenario. We're going to stop the test manually, so when I click play I'll be able to click the stop button to stop it. I can always use that stop button, and I want to just adjust the way the scripts behave. At the moment each script is going to run for 5 minutes and then start again and run for another 5 minutes. I want to set it to run 6 transactions. If you remember, in the script editor we set 5 transactions. That's just relating to the script editor itself. What's going to happen is it will run 6 iterations of the script per iteration of the customer scenario. So we'll have 1 in 6 will go to the home page, the remainder will just cycle around the begin and end transaction loop that we put in there. If I wanted to add any other scripts I could drag and drop them on to the right of there. So the number of users, we're just going to use 10. Normally we would set some ramp up options. As it's just 10 users, it's not really going to be a problem, so we don't need to in this point. In wait mode we're going to move from capture to Poisson distribution. We're going to set that between 1 second and 5 seconds, so 1000 milliseconds and 5000 milliseconds, and here we're going to overwrite the existing values in the script. Clicking preview shows what the distribution will look like. It's just a statistical analysis. I'm going to leave the HTTP parameters as just default, and also I'm going to leave the network options, service level agreement and rendezvous points as is. So we're going to run this. Actually we're going to use the local host, the local injector on this machine to run this test. We click play to start it, save the job, and it starts, and shortly we should see, there we go, we've got our 10 users running already. We're getting a lot of 200 responses back in the HTTP request status, which is good. 200 HTTP OK. Any other responses like 400s and 500s are not good. That means something bad is happening. The bandwidth that the users are consuming here, the TCP connections and the hits and connections per second, but the information that I really want is in the monitoring tab, and it's under page timers. Double clicking page timer values over time will bring up this dialog, which shows the page timers. So there are only 3 pages. I want to look at all of them, and you can see here the response time is pretty good. On the left hand side we have the response time per page. The home page, which is the light blue, is pretty high, but if you remember it's only executing once, and then from that point on we're just executing the other 2 pages. We're just requesting the other 2 pages. So the shopping page, which is the actual set of plants, and TP browse, which is actually it corresponds to the products page. So it might be the African orchid details page, for example. When we continue to execute, we should see another shot at the home page once the scripts have run their 6 transactions. Once the 10 users have run their 6 transactions, I'll go back and run the home page again. So you'll find yourself probably making these more meaningful. You can edit these in the script actually. And also if you want to find out where they are, you can bring up the script. Let's bring it up right now, and you can see there TP browse corresponds to this request here. If we just go to the request details, pull this up, there we go. It's actually the product details page. So of course the African orchid, which we got during capture. So yeah, we can see the shopping page is doing pretty well. The home page not so great, and then we can add on to that the number of active users. We've got 10 users running right now. No users have dropped out, and we can just hit the stop button now to stop the test. There's not much else to see, so we confirm yes, we want to stop it. The number of users drops down, and we're done. Thanks for watching. In the next video we're going to evolve this job and add in some more scripts to make the scenario more realistic, and we're going to ramp up the load a little bit to really start to put the plant store through its paces.